Nuala Carey will have the European weather forecast in just under 10 minutes' time. But first we join Angus Macarena in the RTÉ newsroom.
Hello and welcome to News on 2. Coming up in the programme, Praveen Halapanavar tells the inquest into his wife's death that several requests were made for a termination of pregnancy over 2 days. And in sport, Manchester City have beaten Manchester United 2-1 in tonight's Manchester derby. But first, our top story tonight.
Arriving at Downing Street in May 1979, Margaret Thatcher made history.
I know full well the responsibilities that await me as I enter the door of number 10. Where there is discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is error, may we bring truth. Where there is doubt, may we bring faith. And where there is despair, may we bring hope.
Britain's first female Prime Minister stayed in office for 11 years, but the grocer's daughter from Lincolnshire would be a controversial leader. When Argentina invaded the Falklands in 1982, she dispatched a task force to the South Atlantic, which drove the enemy off the islands. While during the miners' strike in the 1980s, she took on one of the most powerful trade unions and won. Margaret Thatcher also privatised state industries like British Telecom and British Gas. She was a woman respected and in some cases feared right across the world's political spectrum. The former US President Ronald Reagan doted on her and described her as the best man in England, while Soviet leaders treated her warily. Yet the Iron Lady, a title bestowed upon her by her enemies in Moscow and one which she relished, was not all stern, steely and strident. Britain was booming by the time she won a third election in 1987, but the poll tax riots marked the beginning of the end of her premiership, and Margaret Thatcher became increasingly isolated among her EU partners.
It's been a tremendous privilege to serve this country as Prime Minister.
She will be remembered for the great political battles that she fought. Margaret Thatcher took a country that was on its knees and made Britain stand tall again.
Her health declined in recent years after the death of her husband Dennis in 2003. To her enemies, Margaret Thatcher divided Britain, but to her admirers, she transformed it.
Kate Egan reporting there on the death today of Margaret Thatcher. World leaders have been paying tribute to the woman known as the Iron Lady. Here she will be remembered for her hardline handling of the 1981 IRA hunger strikes, but she also played a key role in negotiating the Anglo-Irish Agreement.
Months after taking office, Margaret Thatcher swept into the European summit at Dublin Castle in 1979, demanding a rebate on Britain's contributions. Her performance then set the tone for a relationship with this country that was always fraught and often furious. The conflict in the north was entering its second decade. It seemed intractable. Her own views on the violence, already coloured by the loss of her closest advisor, Éire Niamh, to an INLA bomb, was hardened further by successive IRA atrocities.
We were at the height of terrorist activities in this country with the IRA, Sinn Féin, and that there was quite a number of many difficulties there in trying to deal with them. She was a woman who came in with the idea, in my view, that this was a military matter, a security matter, and it wasn't, of course, as was proven in the long run.
For many, her handling of the 1981 hunger strikes was disastrous, sundering an already divided society in the north as never before.
4 prisoners have taken their own lives deliberately. You cannot and must not give political status.
She made gross mistakes. The way in which she mishandled the prison issue, the hunger strike issue, actually did what she would not have wanted it to do. It gave the Republican movement an impetus that nothing else could have given them.
The poison engendered then still laces Republican assessments of her legacy, even if she went on to reach out to Sinn Féin.
She pursued a draconian policy of militarism, embraced collusion, authorised the killing of citizens, both in overt and covert operations. And even though, in marked contradiction to her public posturing, she opened up a back channel of communication with Sinn Féin.
A change in government here saw fresh initiatives in the north, the first roundly rejected.
The unified Ireland was one solution that is out. A confederation of two states, that is out. A third solution was joint authority. That is out.
But behind the scenes, efforts were continuing to forge a deal on the north. Within a year of that attack, Margaret Thatcher was signing the Anglo-Irish Agreement. The fruit of painstaking work by senior officials on both sides, it gave the Republic, for the first time, a say in the workings of the north.
Praveen Halapanavar has told the inquest into his wife's death that several requests were made for a termination of pregnancy over 2 days. He said Galway University Hospital consultant obstetrician Dr. Catherine Astbury said it was not possible as the fetus was still alive and this was a Catholic country. Lawyers for the hospital said the doctor would strenuously deny making the comment. Time now for a quick look at some more of today's news in brief. Opposition parties have accused the government of being in disarray over the introduction of domestic water charges. The Minister for Finance has again said charges won't be introduced in January 2014. The date had been suggested by Minister for the Environment Phil Hogan last week. The Irish Nurses and Midwives organisation claims the care of patients in some Irish hospitals has been compromised because of overcrowding. It's launched a new Ward Watch initiative which will document the number of additional patients in wards over and above appropriate levels. Donegal's fire service has asked for the public's assistance after it responded to almost 100 gorse fire call-outs since the start of the month. Hundreds of acres of bogland have been destroyed in the Buncrana and Rosses areas. It's advised against burning any material outside as mild weather has left heath and gorse very dry. Sports news now, and Manchester City claimed the bragging rights in tonight's Manchester derby. Sergio Aguero scored the winning goal as City beat United 2-1 at Old Trafford.
Jackie Hurley, RTÉ News.
Ireland will play a friendly against world and European champions Spain at Yankee Stadium in New York this summer. The box office tie will take place on June the 11th, just 4 days after Ireland's World Cup qualifier against the Faroe Islands in Dublin. Former British Open champion Aaron Clark has pulled out of this weekend's Augusta Masters due to injury. Clark pulled a hamstring while on holiday just over a week ago and didn't play at last weekend's Texas Open, hoping the rest would help his recovery. Today, though, the 44-year-old conceded to the injury with what he said was deep regret. No date has been set for his return to golf. Well, that's News on 2. Thanks for watching. Good night. Take care.
And this evening, heavy downpours are expected right across the country.
Hello and welcome to your world forecast. We'll start tonight with the view from space. A lot of cloud across Europe, clear and sunny skies though for the Sahara. Then we had those equatorial showers slicing parts of Africa in two, but down in South Africa itself, things generally dry for tomorrow. In India, the pre-monsoon heat is really building now. Temperatures up to the high 30s. Across in China, they'll see some localised flooding produced by this heavy spell of rain there through the south. And while much of Thailand and Malaysia will be dry tomorrow, they'll see heavy, intense thunderstorms here through Indonesia. And they will sink down into parts of the north and northeast of Australia, although the bulk of the continent will remain dry and very hot too, with temperatures in parts up to 37 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, for New Zealand, it's a high of 21 in Auckland tomorrow, a 15 then for Christchurch. At most, they'll just see a few showers in the days ahead, and here through the South Island, their temperatures will make their way up to the 20s in the next few days too. For South America, heavy rain from Peru over to Brazil. Dry though for Argentina with temperatures of 24 in Buenos Aires. Fine conditions up through the Caribbean and in the southern states of North America. However, then above that, they have intense thunderstorms, and to the north in Canada, things remaining bitterly cold. Back in Europe, we've 3 different types of weather now. It's fine and mild in the Mediterranean, fine and cold in northern parts, and in central areas we'll continue to see bands of rain move in from the Atlantic. Here at home, rain that's set to affect the southern half of the country again tomorrow is expected to clear away. Elsewhere, a dry day, some spells of sunshine, and temperatures between 7 and 9. Good night.
Simply irresistible. Simply new Avonmore cooking cream. All of the taste, only half of the fat.
Despite the best-looking medical team in existence, it doesn't lead to a plethora of patients, which means the hospital is facing a financial fiasco in Grey's Anatomy tomorrow at 9 on 2. Now, money is an issue as well for Eddie, so he expresses his anger with strong language in Hardy Brooks.